For years, the public accepted a single story. Meghan Markle was pregnant with Archie, and that was all there was to it. No questions, no contradictions, no reason to dig deeper. But now, a new account has emerged. Someone who was there, present during a royal engagement, not observing from afar, not piecing together clips later, but witnessing events in real time. And what she claims changes everything. This witness did not step forward lightly. For years, she tried to raise concerns quietly, reaching out through discreet channels, hoping to be heard without causing a stir. According to her account, she was ignored. Her calls went unanswered, and when silence failed to contain her, she says pressure followed. Threats, incentives, warnings, tools used to ensure she would remain quiet. The story she wants to tell isn't speculation or opinion, it is what she saw in a controlled environment under strict supervision. The engagement was unremarkable by royal standards, a public appearance at a local animal shelter. Cameras were present, handlers and staff carefully positioned, every interaction choreographed. Meghan, visibly pregnant, moved through the crowd as expected, smiling, greeting, performing her role. But in one moment, something happened that caught the attention of those nearby. A distinct sound, a subtle but noticeable change in her pregnancy silhouette. According to the witness, the belly she had displayed moments before seemed to shift unnaturally, almost as if altered from within. Reactions around her were immediate, but silent. People understood instantly that discussing the moment aloud was not an option. Afterward, Meghan excused herself, citing personal reasons. The witness followed, not out of suspicion, but circumstance. Behind closed doors, what the witness claims she saw has haunted her since. She observed Meghan adjusting the appearance of the pregnancy. Not clothing, not fabric, but the belly itself. There was no confrontation, no public reaction, but the instructions were clear. This event was not for public interpretation. Silence in this environment is not optional, it is enforced. The witness eventually learned why. Only the cameras provided by Meghan's team were allowed to record the event. All other angles, all alternative documentation, were strictly prohibited. Any uncontrolled evidence would be filtered out. This was not chance, it was strategy. Even if the witness spoke, the absence of independent proof could and would be used against her. When she finally pressed for clarification, quietly, she received a direct explanation. Meghan Markle, according to the account, had been wearing a prosthetic belly during engagements. The reason given was to protect the real pregnancy. No medical details were offered, no official verification, just a simple, unsettling explanation that raised far more questions than it answered. Why would a pregnancy need protection at public events under constant supervision and with vetted staff? In the royal context, such measures are more than personal preference, they are constitutional. The legitimacy of a child, their place in the line of succession, depends on one critical factor. The child must be born biologically. This is not ceremonial, it is legal. It determines inheritance, continuity, and the stability of the monarchy itself. According to this account, presenting a child as eligible without meeting this requirement is a constitutional violation. Silence here is not passive, it is active. Those present, including palace officials, understood the stakes. Any breach of protocol could not be addressed publicly without immense ramifications. The witness was told explicitly to maintain silence, a directive she took seriously. It was not casual advice, it was enforced through authority and expectation. Even outside this incident, the culture of control is clear. Another former protection officer has spoken publicly about irregularities he observed while serving the royal family. After raising concerns, he received formal letters reminding him of lifelong obligations to confidentiality and the consequences of disclosure. According to sources, these warnings came not from minor administrators, but from the palace itself. Silence in this system is deliberate, it is structured, it is protective, but it is also controlling. Then there is the birth of Archie. Initially, reports described a highly respected obstetrician from an established medical family as the attending doctor. The story suggested nothing unusual occurred, but the doctor's own family later denied that she had delivered the child. No clarification followed, no investigation. The official record remains ambiguous. In most contexts, this would be a minor discrepancy. Here, it becomes a piece of a larger pattern: controlled imagery, conflicting narratives, and suppression of independent observation. Even public messages offered no resolution. On the day of Archie's birth, a statement circulated briefly, suggesting a surrogate had been used and apologizing for any confusion. That explanation, too, was never officially confirmed or debunked. Silence replaced accountability. And yet the questions persisted, quietly, because the inconsistencies cannot be fully erased once observed. By the end of the engagement and the birth, the witness understood something fundamental. What she had seen was protected. Her knowledge was restricted, her voice constrained. The story, as it exists publicly, is only part of the record. Behind it lies a controlled environment, carefully curated appearances, and mechanisms designed to manage perception. For the witness, the risk of speaking was personal. For the institution, the risk of exposure carried constitutional weight.
The implications are clear. What began as a small, almost invisible moment, an adjustment during a public engagement, carries weight far beyond the individual. This is not about gossip. It is about how the royal system enforces narrative, controls appearance, and manages both perception and succession. The witness's fear is understandable. Speaking could challenge an entire structure carefully maintained for decades. The palace, according to sources, already knows of her claims. They are aware of her intention to speak and understand the consequences. Once that information surfaces, it cannot be contained. Silence has been effective for years, but the mechanism is fragile. Once it is broken, the story becomes permanent, unfiltered, and publicly unavoidable. This is not an isolated issue. The culture of silence extends to multiple layers of the royal environment. Staff, handlers, and observers are trained to maintain discretion. The rules are enforced consistently, not haphazardly. Even those tasked with protection have faced explicit warnings when they attempt to discuss irregularities. Authority here is both absolute and invisible. The witness's claims, combined with the ambiguity surrounding Archie's birth, suggest a larger pattern. Controlled imagery, selective disclosures, and restricted access point to a system designed to shape perception without transparency. When the public sees Meghan performing, smiling, and engaging with the world, every detail has been orchestrated. Behind that, the reality may be more complex, involving precautions, protective measures, and legal considerations unknown to observers. The crux of the concern is legitimacy. In the royal system, a child's legal and constitutional status is not symbolic. It carries direct consequences for succession and continuity. Any deviation from protocol is not trivial. It affects inheritance rights, the line of succession, and institutional stability. That is why silence is enforced and why public answers are carefully curated. Even after decades of scrutiny, this environment retains the power to shape narrative through controlled access, selective reporting, and authority-driven guidance. This is what the witness now challenges. She is prepared to speak openly, bringing into question both appearances and practices that have remained unexamined. Her account is verifiable, precise, and rooted in direct observation. That is what makes it significant. For the palace, this is not just a reputational concern. It is structural. The moment silence fails, the institution must respond, legally, administratively, and publicly. Patterns that were once manageable through discretion become crises when documentation, testimony, or corroboration emerges. History demonstrates that royal controversies grow when ignored. They accumulate until the institution can no longer absorb them. What is unfolding now is the threshold. A witness who has been restrained, silenced, and pressured is preparing to speak. The implications ripple across everything previously considered settled. Birth narratives, public appearances, the mechanics of succession, and the boundaries of institutional control are all under scrutiny. This is why what was once invisible now matters so profoundly. This story is far from over. The witness is verified, credible, and motivated. She has remained in the shadows for years, constrained by fear and authority. But the silence that once protected a narrative is breaking. The moment her account becomes public, the carefully maintained structures of perception, control, and official record will face exposure. The significance is simple. In this system, silence is protection, but it is also power. Once broken, the consequences are permanent. Records exist, instructions were given, and the mechanisms of authority were exercised precisely to prevent the questions that are now unavoidable. History shows us that royal crises do not vanish. They wait, accumulate, and surface with consequences far exceeding what might have been manageable if addressed earlier. And now, the witness who observed a single moment at a routine engagement, once forced to remain quiet, is preparing to ensure it is recorded, examined, and understood. This is not speculation. This is not gossip. This is a verified account, a documented pattern, and an unavoidable challenge to previously uncontested narratives. Once it is revealed, the palace, the public, and the institution itself will need to confront the truth directly. The moment of silence has ended, and the story, controlled for decades, is about to enter a phase of exposure.